All right, we're live. Carla and I are almost running behind because we are just chatting away and having such a good time talking. So we apologize if we're a minute behind here, but we're so excited to be live with you guys. I'm going to give people a few minutes or a few seconds really to join in if you want to watch live. I know this will also be posted as a recording to LinkedIn and to YouTube. So you may be watching this later, and we're excited to have you regardless if you're watching live or later. If you are watching live, would love to hear from you in the comments. Carla and I were talking about how we love to see the interactions. We want this to be a conversation and a dialogue. We're both open to answering any questions that you have during this conversation. So please say hi. Doesn't have to be a world-changing message or comment. Just say hi. Just tell us who's here. We just want to know that we're not speaking into the void today. I'm going to go ahead and turn off our background music. Served its purpose for getting us introed. And I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. So welcome everybody to the 5th episode of Career Chronicles. As a quick reminder, the Career Chronicles is a podcast where we will be chronicling the stories of women in the workplace and those who champion us with the hopes of paving the way for inclusive excellence in recruitment and retention. What that really means is that I have a passion for creating opportunities for women in tech and other industries and want to help organizations be a part of that. So if that is of interest to you, then this podcast is a great place for you to join in the conversation. And like I said, today's our 5th episode. We're really excited to have Carla Fernandez here with us, and we're going to be talking about breaking into tech, which is a topic I'm super excited to cover and always knew I wanted to talk about on the podcast because as a recruiter, I've talked to candidate after candidate of, very talented folks, amazing people who want to break into tech or find their first full-time role out of a boot camp or another type of program. And it is difficult to do so. We all know about those lovely job postings that are junior or entry level, but then in the bullet points, they require 3 years of experience. So what the heck are we supposed to do with that? So we're going to talk a little bit about Carla and where she works and a great program that's helping people break into tech. So I'm super excited. And before we dive into that, I do want to take a moment to thank my sponsor, Spyglass Partners, an IT staffing firm where I work. And they are a fabulous team and have supported me and are excited to support anybody who's looking to break into tech as well, or looking to partner with organizations who want to build something like this into their hiring practices. So without further ado, Carla, I'm so excited to have you. I'm going to read a quick bio and introduction about you and then turn it over to you if you want to add anything. But Carla is a UX UI career advisor at Avocademy, which we will talk about in a moment where the name comes from because I love it. And it is a YC-backed EdTech platform. She combines her skills and passion for UX and UI, as well as social media marketing and neuroscience to help students and professionals pursue their career goals. And I love that you have the neuroscience background. I have a background in human development, and I bring that into my tech career. So they are related fields. And I think people don't often think about the people sciences being related to tech. And so I love that you bring that background as well. So Carla, welcome. I don't know if you want to share anything else about yourself or how you got involved at Avocademy, but we'll kick it off there.
Of course. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be part of this podcast. And now how I got started into tech, like how I broke into tech coming in from sort of like a pre-med background-ish. So I feel like for me, once I graduated, I realized very quickly that healthcare wasn't really the path I wanted to go into. So there was a lot of frustration, a lot of self-doubt into what I was going to do. So of course, as the researcher that I was, I went on Google and, tried figuring out what to do. And I found this bootcamp called Avocademy with a really silly name. And I took the foundations course, which I can talk a little bit more about later, but I got to learn all the skills of UX design, and I figured out the overlap between psychology, having the pre-med background, and how it could help a lot of people. So a year later, after I graduated, I got to not just learn UX design, but also start working here and help many people truly change their lives into.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Were you like me, one of the pre-med folks? I was weeded out of pre-med. So I was in the gen chemistry class, and after one of the exams, they were grading the test, and it was right before the drop ad period. I went to my professor and I was like, I need to know what I made on the test, because if I didn't do well, I need to go drop the class right now so that I can take it off my transcript without it hurting my GPA. And he said, we're in the midst of grading it. Let me go pull your test. He came back out and he said, I can tell you your test grade, or you can just go confidently drop the class and you won't have to live with knowing what the score is. And I said, awesome. Thank you so much. I'll be dropping the class. So I was weeded out of pre-med. So I don't know if you were in a similar situation, but a lot of us don't land in the paths that we set out to. So having these conversations about breaking into different industries is super relevant for people. I also wanted you to have a chance to share where the name Avocademy comes from, because I love this story as well.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, Sloan, I completely relate to that. For me, it was genetics class. After I took that class, I was like, yeah, this
This
not
isn't
for
going
me.
to happen.
Now, in terms to Avocademy, where the name comes from. So our founder, Maka, she is a huge fan of tacos. We actually do Taco Tuesdays here at the office. It's really, really fun.
Every week.
Almost every week.
Almost
but
every
yes,
week.
we love them.
I love it.
And she thought about calling it Taco Academy at the beginning. It didn't sound.
It didn't have the ring.
right.
That doesn't have the ring to it.
Exactly. And then she thought about Avocademy, and it stuck. And now it's a very awesome name. I mean, it's silly, but we love it. We are obsessed with avocados.
The avocado in the background. Who isn't obsessed with avocados? And I think the best business strategy is to go with your gut. What is close to your heart? What are you going to enjoy? And the people are going to flock to that. So I love it. I love the name. Wanted to share it. Luke is here. He commented that my GPA wasn't affected, but I did out myself. Yeah, I did. I love this story. It's one that I enjoy sharing because it is just absolutely hilarious that my professor said that to me. So maybe he's out there somewhere helping other people. But back to Avocademy, I know that you and I talked about the program, and something that really stuck with me is that 70% of the students are women, I believe is what you told me.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that and why you think the program is so attractive to women in particular.
For sure. So I feel like our program is very flexible, very hands-on. So we offer a foundations program where you learn all the skills of UX UI design, and it's pretty much done at your own time. So when you have availability, you dedicate time into the course. We offer scholarships, we offer unlimited mentorship. It's very hands-on, very supported. So I feel like putting myself in that situation when I was looking to change careers, I was like, what do I want? Coming in from a traditional route of like going to college and, trying to get into the professional field that way. I needed support. I needed guidance. I needed somebody to understand what it was like to feel the career change side, the anxiety, the doubts, and I seeked for that. And of course, something that's more affordable, especially after investing into
a college education. Yeah.
A college education.
Yeah. And I like that you mentioned the mentorship piece. And I assume as a career advisor, that's a big part of what you do, is supporting and mentoring people who are looking to complete the program, but also you not only want to help them successfully complete the program, but they're probably making a career shift, a life change. And so you're supporting them through that. I know my work as a tech recruiter is very similar. I have, like I told you, degrees in human development and counseling. And so I wear that counseling hat, when I'm helping support people with these career transitions. And I think the value of having those kinds of partners is maybe undervalued and not talked about enough. What are some of the biggest concerns you hear from the people you're working with, and how have you been able to help with those as a career advisor?
Yeah, for sure. So Avocademy has been around since 2020. So there has been a lot of development towards the course and the program from feedback that's being sent out to us. I would say a lot of the times, like a common challenge onto why not to get started with a program such as this is having the time. Sometimes like we sit here and we're like, you know what, I'm extremely busy. I don't have time for anything else. I have kids, I have work, I have to kind of balance everything out. I don't have 2 seconds of my life to dedicate into any form of education. And that's where, essentially that's where we come in, and we have those calls with people, with women in general, and we're like, you can do it. This is at your time. You don't have to quit your full-time job. You can still maintain
That's
that
so
full-time
key.
job. Yeah, and be a mom, be present, work on this for yourself. So in the future, you can just work from home, be present with your kids, make a pretty decent amount of money. And yeah.
No, that's so important, because I think people who want to break into tech, and it probably could be said of any industry, when you're looking to make that switch, how do I do that without giving up my full-time income? Because most people don't have the luxury to be able to do that. So I think programs like Avocademy are fantastic, because you can complete it part-time while you're still in your full-time role, earning the money you need to support yourself or your family. And so it creates those opportunities for people to break into tech in a more accessible way. And I don't know how many programs are out there like this. I'd love for anybody in the comments to share more programs like Avocademy. Avocademy is a great example of one. There's probably other ones out there, but I think these are great programs to take advantage of when you're looking to break into tech. Something else you and I talked about is the role of social media and how you guys utilize that to recruit people into your program. So in your experience, how is social media a tool that people can use to find opportunities to break into tech?
Yeah, so I can also put myself in that position, like put myself in that place. I remember when I had graduated college, like I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do, and I would waste the majority of my time on social media, scrolling through TikTok and figuring out what people were doing, how they dealt with changing careers. So I know that it's crazy. Everything aligns in a perfect way. Like this was before I even thought about like Avocademy or anything like that. And then fast forward to working here, we do that, right? So we not only want to educate and provide free resources to people to understand more about the technology space, the UX UI design space, but also show them that if somebody like me can do it, you can do it. If somebody that's from the BIPOC community that had a complete different background, that I'm a woman, and you sometimes think like, like it's going to be really difficult for me to break into tech. You need to know how to code. You need to know all of this. So we thought that via social media, it's the best way to target the people that are frustrated with their jobs. They're looking for something new. They don't know how to get started or even where to go in technology because there's so many branches.
Yeah, I think it's such an underutilized tool, because social media gets a bad rap for a lot of different reasons. Some of them are valid. It can be a time suck for sure, and a distraction, and it can be a place where people aren't always their most authentic selves. But there is a whole other avenue of social media where people are being their authentic selves and are using the platform to be connectors and to be educators and to share their experiences and expertise in order to help others. And that's, I think you and I are both trying to lean into that other side of social media to say, this can be a tool for you to build connections, to network, but also to learn from other people's experiences, which is what you're talking about. There's great creators out there who are talking about, here's the exact steps that I took to break into tech. It's not going to look like a copy and paste for you, but there's pieces and lessons you can take away. So I know you and I both have people in our networks who do this. I mean, we can share when we reshare the recording of this. I'll probably tag some people that you guys can check out. Great content creators who help people break into tech. And that's a great starting place. If you're watching this and sitting there asking yourself, how do I take the first step in breaking into tech? Maybe I'm not ready to launch into a paid program like Avocademy or something else, but what can I start digesting and reviewing? And I think social media content is such low-hanging fruit because it's free. And so it's just easy to just start reviewing. It sounds like was your experience. You were looking at it.
And there's so many like free resources, like either on YouTube, TikTok. Like TikTok has become such a search engine at this point. Like you look everything up and you see it from people's perspective, like you were saying, like how their trajectory was into changing careers or just learning how to cook or garden.
Yeah, I'm sure you could search breaking into tech on TikTok and you would find many, many videos and people would be sharing their experiences. For
sure. And of course, like take every experience like a grain of salt. Like everybody's experience is going to be different. Not everybody's going to look the same, but at least take away like the pros and the cons and then see if it's something that you would see yourself doing. And if you're somebody that needs structure, there are boot camps and courses out there that will give you that structure so you don't have to be self-taught as well.
Yeah. And I think there is an opportunity for, if there's, the other part of my audience is hiring managers who are looking to diversify their talent pools. And I think social media is another great way for them to do that. And I know you guys recruit for your talent pool for Avocademy. And I know there's a couple different ways that you guys have been successful in diversifying your talent pool. We've kind of already talked about social media, but I also know that you guys are a mission-driven organization. How do you think that helps you recruit a more diversified talent pool?
Of course. So I feel like we stay very in tune with our mission. And our mission, again, is to bring more inclusivity and diversity into tech. So we offer scholarships opportunity, we educate, we try to provide free resources. So people, at least they get a little more incentivized and they see it as like, okay, you know what, like this is something that I could do. This is something that is worth investing into. Because at the end of the day, I mean, no form of education out there is cheap. Everything's gonna have its
everything has a cost.
Everything has a cost. But it's definitely like staying true to who you are and trying to have that passion for the change that you want to implement that allows us to push ourselves to give those resources out and to help people. And again, like hearing it from alumni. I was talking a little bit about this way before, but I used to manage graduate panels where I was interviewing past graduates from Avocademy and just hearing their experience, just how they went from, working in the service industry to fully now having a full-time job for a big tech company, working as a UX UI designer and two times
their income, I assume.
Their income,
yeah. It's life-changing. Like, I mean, and that's why there's such a demand of like, I want to break into tech. I want to break into tech. It's because it can be life-changing for people.
And it encourages you, like for me, I'm like, wow, like I'm actually helping people. Like it's not just on the surface, like you're for real helping people pursue something that they feel passionate about and that brings that financial stability,
Yeah. What's the success rate of the program?
Yeah, so we actually announced recently that we are backed by a job guarantee, so that's super exciting. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but in terms of success rates, we have a 90% success rate of the students that complete our Step 2 program called Career Jumpstart. If they meet requirements and they do the work, then they'll definitely get a job.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, there's not many things out there that have that high of a success rate. So definitely should check out Avocademy. I would love to ask, I guess it's a two-part question. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking at programs like yours or looking to break into tech in general? What would be your biggest piece of advice?
Okay, so my biggest piece of advice, again, like putting myself in your shoes in that sense, is finding somebody that cares enough to help you succeed, that will offer mentorship and guidance. That is something that's extremely important. And for any role in tech, you need a portfolio, either if that's UX design, engineering, if that is marketing, if you want to get into marketing in tech. Like, there's always going to be a need for a portfolio, presenting what you've done in the past, talking about the things that you did in that company. And that's what I would look for if I was in that position currently to change careers, is somebody to support me, give me the right resources to change, and building a portfolio.
That is perfect advice. I don't think I would have thought of the mentorship piece, but the portfolio piece is huge to be able to demonstrate your work. And also, I would love to know if you have any advice on demonstrating transferable skills. I know that's something that people are concerned with, is how do I demonstrate that I bring a lot to the table, even if I haven't been in a tech role before?
For sure. I mean, this is funny to say because not a lot of people see it like how I see it, but I definitely think that every soft skill that you have strengthened throughout your life, either if that's like working in the service industry, in hospitality, in the medical field, they transfer. And the primary 3 skills that I could think of are problem solving, thinking outside of the box, communication. Well, I'll give you 4, and empathy. So
Communication's huge. I know that's a big one.
For anything in life, you need a good communication. Like, if that's talking to a partner, talking to a recruiter, talking to your boss, there needs to be a good form of communication, and customer service gives you that.
Yeah. And I think communication is thrown around as a transferable skill, but breaking down what that actually means, I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but for me, the way I define communication skills is being able to understand your audience and tailor the point you're trying to get across to reach your audience in a way that, they'll understand it. And being able to articulate your value and, the things you've accomplished. So you have to be able to break out big ideas into smaller pieces, translate that to different audiences, whether they're technical or non-technical audiences. All of those things are what I would include when I'm saying I want someone with good communication skills.
I definitely agree with you. I feel like it can be really hard for somebody that has the technical background and they know all the fancy terminology to sit down and just like teach you in that way. But not everybody learns like that. You have to be able to, like how I like to say, read the room, and based on that, just try to best communicate efficiently to the person. So it can be received on both ways, on both sides.
And kindness goes a long way. That's what I've learned working in tech. And as a recruiter, when I'm vetting a candidate for whether they're a fit to put in front of a hiring manager, I am assessing how kind you speak to me. And if you assume that I am not going to be able to understand your technical accomplishments and you speak to me in a condescending manner, I'm not going to be super jazzed to put you in front of my client, my hiring manager. And if you might potentially be to them or be rude to the HR representative we're working with, are you going to talk down to them like you did to me? So for those of you out there looking for a job or looking to make a transition, treat everybody with kindness. You don't know who holds the key to the next step for you. So be kind to everybody out there. I know we're coming close to our end of time. Carla, I want to ask you one last question, and it's the question I ask all of my podcast guests. It's when or where have you felt most empowered as a woman?
Yeah, I feel like honestly, growing up in this generation, like I've gotten to experience a lot about like feeling empowered as a woman, seeing all the movements that there are and how to stand up for myself and my own voice. But to be honest, the number one place where I've felt the most empowered, and I don't want this to sound cheesy or anything, but it was working at a company that's owned by women, and that
Yeah.
primarily the staff is women. And it's seeing them as mentors and seeing them and saying, okay, if they started a business, why can't I? If they accomplished all of this and helped all these people, why can't I? So honestly, that's been such a push in my life. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said a ton of times, but that representation matters, and
Mhm.
seeing people who look like you in a role that you want to get to makes it real and makes it achievable. And it, I think you and I started this conversation talking about, figuring out what we wanted to do when we were in college, and both being on tracks that ultimately didn't pan out. And I know for me, I hadn't encountered enough people in the roles that were a right fit for me. I had seen teachers at school. I knew what my parents did for work. And that was it. That was my exposure. But when you start to get out into the world and you're able to see people, running their own companies, you're like, I could do that. That could be actually what I want to do. So that exposure is key. The representation is key. I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm so excited I'll link Avocademy and tag them when we reshare the video, because I want people to go check out Avocademy. Anybody looking to break into tech, check out this program. I think it's a fantastic one with a very high success rate. So it sounds like it's worth the investment. And anybody looking to further this conversation, connect with Carla or we want to keep chatting with you guys. But thanks for tuning in. Carla, thank you for being here. It's been lovely to chat with you.
Of course, thank you for having me, and it's been amazing to be part of this.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm going to end our stream now. Bye, everybody.
Bye.